Hey Newburgh, I'm Kyle Berry, your Director of Music and Worship Arts, and I'm hanging out here in my backyard to bring you this week's Monday Minute. If you don't know, Newburgh has a lot going on. The place is practically abuzz with activity. This week, we're going to be having our rummage sale, and we're still looking for volunteers to help out throughout the week. The sale is going to be on Thursday starting at 5 p.m., and if you can help out any time before that, we'd greatly appreciate it, even if it's just for an hour or so. Also, we have a lot of small groups happening right now. It's a great way to grow closer to God and closer together at the same time, to be a part of any of these groups. We have Lectio Divina that's on Tuesdays at 1 p.m., both in person and online. Unpacked series continues looking at the Psalms this Wednesday at 10:30 a.m. Women Connecting Through Christ is Thursdays at 6:30. Waiting In with Pastor Chad is Sundays at 6 p.m. And of course, the Newburgh Student Ministry is started up with the Hangout on Wednesday nights and the normal youth group on Sunday evenings. Now, on top of that, we also have all of our music groups have started up: choir, Sweet Spirit Choir, handbells, all of the good stuff. If you're ever interested in being a part of those, just let me know. We're always happy to accept new people. Now, finally, World Communion Sunday is coming up this Sunday, and we're doing something a little bit different. We want to celebrate by having you bring in breads from maybe your ancestry, a culture that's a part of your family, or maybe just one that you really respect and are fond of. We're going to be collecting all that bread, bringing it to the front of the sanctuary as part of our celebration, and afterwards, all of it's going to be donated to a local charity. So if you can, bring in some bread from your favorite culture this Sunday. As always, you can find out all this and more by going to NewburgUMC.org, by checking us out on Facebook, Instagram, or following us on YouTube. Now, for this week's devotional, I was reading through a book for a while, and I got to the psalm that we just went through yesterday in service, Psalm 139. And the author that I was reading about describes this psalm as David talking about having to go through the grind of insecurity. And he says that you could divide this up into 4 different sections, each one looking at a different question that David is trying to answer for himself in his conversation with God. In the first 6 verses, this author says, well, he's probably asking, well, does God know me? How well does God know me? And he's dealing with the problem of identity, of being known by someone truly. The next 6 verses, 7 through 12, David's asking, well, how close is God really to me? Is he really that close? He's probably feeling lonely in this moment. He's having an identity crisis. He's insecure. He's feeling lonely. In the next few verses, 13 through 18, David is asking himself, am I unique? Am I interesting at all? Does God care about me individually? And then finally, in verses 19 through 24, David is asking, does God really protect and help me? That's a lot of stuff that's going on, isn't it? I mean, being insecure is something that we all face at some point in our lives, or often many points in our lives. And it doesn't matter who you are. Anyone from the President of the United States all the way down to, even your pastor, even your church staff. I know I deal with it all the time, being insecure. And what to do in that moment. Because it's one thing when the pressures are external, right? When stuff is going on outside of you, when it's a job, or it's some other family pressure, whatever it is that's coming in to you. But it's something else when the problem, when the feeling and the emotion starts inside and creates pressure going out. That's really hard to deal with. But this psalm answers those questions. It really does. When he asks, does God know me? The answer is yes. David says, search me, God. And God kind of Without saying, it's like, I already do. I already know you. I know who you are specifically. Is God close to me? God says you don't even know the half of it. You don't even understand how close I am, even if you don't feel it. Has God really made me unique? Am I really all that important? That's where God says in those verses, I knit you together. And I think knit is a great word, just like, string by string, as if you're knitting. I put you together piece by piece in the perfect way, very intentionally. And then finally, with does God really protect or heal me? Or help me, I should say. Absolutely. Absolutely. One poet, excuse me, um, put it this way, and I love this poem. It's by Annie Johnson Flint. She's talking about that kind of pressure and what to do with it. And she says this: pressed out of measure and pressed to all length. Pressed so intensely it seems beyond strength. Pressed in the body, pressed in the soul, pressed in the mind until the dark surges roll. Pressure by foes, pressure by friends, pressure on pressure till life nearly ends. Pressed into the loving staff and the rod. Pressed into knowing no helper but God. Pressed into liberty where nothing else clings. Pressed into faith for impossible things. Pressed into living a life in the Lord. And pressed into living a Christ life outpoured. And I think it's that sense that she describes at the end there, that kind of relief of having gone through the insecurities and the pressures from out and in, and realizing that God really is there, that makes David say in verse 6 of this psalm, it's too marvelous or wonderful for me to understand. Another way of putting it, one person wrote, in the modern words, David might have said, it blows my mind. So next time you're feeling insecure, you're having difficulties with all the insecurities, with your identity, with feeling unique, or feeling just like a number in the giant cog of the universe, remember this psalm. And remember what David thought of it when he asked these questions, and he had to eventually come up and say, yeah, God's there. God knows me. And boy, it's so wonderful, it blows my mind. That's it for this week. Have a great week, Newburgh, and we will see you back again next week.